Welcome back. Sunday Mubarak sabko. Welcome back to Menace the Monk. And back on popular demand, we have a Serie A episode once again. So Chintan is in the house representing Milan. Chintan, how are you, brother?
I'm absolutely great, man. It's a great feeling. Good way to start Sunday, I guess.
We couldn't be happier, brother. क्या चल रहा है भाई? मिलान के बारे में कुछ गपशप दे यार.
I mean, Milan, it's going on, man. But I just hope, I just wish ये साल World Cup होता यार. Another controversy in Serie A. I'm pretty sure Italy जीत जाता World Cup. A
हाँ यार.
controversy and Italy go hand in hand. So I guess 2006 everyone remembers how it went. And
वही
कुछ आज World Cup
हमारा
थोड़ा जल्दी हो गया.
हाँ हमारा थंबनेल भी वही बोल रहा है, थ्रिल्स एंड कंट्रोवर्सीज। तो थ्रिल की भी कमी नहीं है और कंट्रोवर्सी की भी कमी नहीं है इटालियन
Oh
फुटबॉल
yes,
में।
yes. It's a complete Serie A is a complete package, and it's what do you call it? It's a shit show happening right now. You know what is unfolding in front of us.
Yeah.
It's I think it's to everyone's surprise. I guess what is happening here. Uh, can't say surprise, but I think how
Is
quickly it's
it
unfolded.
Chintan because ये तो मतलब यूवेंटस तो relegate भी हुआ है पहले recently.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's just how quickly it's unfolding right now. And see, I don't know. Things happen, how things are working, things happen. But my only thing is, why is it only one side which is caught? You know, I think, you when you need two hands to clap, right? So it's a funny thing. But Juventus will always be in the limelight, The bigger the stage and Juventus at the fore, they're always going to be in the limelight. Hopefully, I guess
DJ
that's
has
one
joined
thing.
us.
Milan are kind of out of it right now, so that's good to hear, man.
Yeah,
मतलब
yeah.
ये सब कंट्रोवर्सी तो सेरिया में निधि we are used to seeing as outsiders and
Yeah.
controversy से मतलब and same time पे Dhananjay joins us. DJ, thanks for joining us, bro. How are you? Long time.
Pleasure, guys. Looking forward to our chat today. It's been so long, yeah.
Yeah,
Doing
long
well. How
time.
are you guys doing?
परफेक्ट. यार तू बता यार क्या चल क्या रहा है यूवेंटस का यार मतलब क्या ऑब्वियसली बात तो बहुत करेंगे बट हाउ डिड यू फील जब ये पता चला कि you've got a 15 point deduction.
Especially after getting a clean sheet.
Guys, I think it's really early right now to really speculate, but like initial reactions are obviously it just seems like Juve seems to be the one being singled out, and nobody understands the basis for this 15-point deduction. On what basis is 15 points? The prosecutor is asking for 9. the justice system comes and says, okay, here's 15. Khush hai, Like what is the basis for it? That hasn't been justified yet. Juve has already made a statement, obviously. As we're all aware, there's a new board of directors that has been formed as of this last week of January at the board meeting when Agnelli Nedved stepped down. Their sporting director Cherubini also has been given a ban for 16 months. Agnelli for about 2 years. There is Nedved at about 8 months. They've both stepped down. And there's Paratici, who is now at Tottenham. He's been given a 30-month sentence. And of course, if this ban extends under UEFA, which is what they're appealing for, then Paratici will also, that ban will be implemented for Paratici, even though he's in an EPL club. So very early days, guys, and obviously the whole new board of directors is all of them have a legal background. So Juve obviously saw that this fight is coming. There are 2 layers to this. There is the Prisma investigation, which is what really opened it. That is a civil investigation that has actually no bearing on the sporting side. And the second aspect is so there's false accounting. That is an accusation, and the other aspect is which was to cook the books. And the other accusation, obviously, being that enough numbers weren't revealed and that can mislead the stock market, since Juve is a publicly listed company. And those are the 2 accusations that are currently, in court at the moment. Nobody knows. So Juve obviously has made a statement to first understand the basis of this, before which they will fight back. And I think given the structure of the new board, I'm fairly confident that there is a lot of semblance legally, and I think Juve will turn this situation around as they do on the pitch more often than not. I'm fairly confident that 15 point, to me, it has no foundation really, unless it's justified on what basis. Why is it not 3 points or 30 points? We don't know, right? So I think that understanding, once that is a little clearer, I fully expect Juve to, turn this around, because 15 points essentially means, and I'm sure Chins will agree, after that hard fight back to second place,
Yeah.
now completely and squarely out of Europe. I can't see them, turn a 15-point deficit around over the course of whatever's left this season. So it's going to be very interesting, very sad, because I don't understand why the FIGC does what they do. It's borderline, disgusting, to be honest. They're penalizing the one club that they get more out of than any other club in the system and in the country. And with due respect, of course, to Milan, since I'm sure you'll agree that Juve is a very big part of the Italian system, both on the youth side, on the revenue side. So it's just sad, and I think, but early days, so I don't want to speculate. I don't want to say anything that is untoward. Let's just hear what happens and what comes through.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Chintan, there were other clubs involved, right? Empoli, Sampdoria. थोड़ा बता सकता है what happened? Like Genoa, what happened? Like ये है क्या?
Basically, I think it's of course Deej knows the details, but I'm talking about layman's term. It's the capital gains, right? When you sell a player, the capital gains which they show, I think that's been a problem, and especially a few deals with Atlanta and Genoa and Sampdoria were quite lucrative. When they got Kulusevski, from Atlanta, they had to buy a player too. So I guess. A player who's not played much or hardly appeared for Juventus was sold for 7-8 million. I'm just talking about from the outside view. So that is what people see, right? That how is this guy evaluated at 7 million when he's hardly played for Juventus? So I guess all these lucrative deals have got them caught up in a mess. But again, the problem is that there are two clubs involved in it, right? Genoa, a lot of deals, I think Deej will agree, a lot of deals have happened between Juventus and Genoa and Juventus and Atlanta, which have actually caught the eye, so three players have transferred here and there. One of the big deals was, of course, Archer deal, which was involved Pjanic and Archer, the swap. I think it was sold for 60-65 million. They showed a capital gains of around 50-55 million, and then they bought Archer again in return for 72 million. So I guess exaggerating the profits in your books, I guess that is what has caught the eye. But the whole thing, the surprising fact is, how are the other clubs let go? Not that they didn't know about it, they were not kept in the dark. I'm guessing when a deal is struck, I think two clubs are involved. So I don't know what is happening. It's quite as he said, it's a shit show, man. It's a circus. I'm telling you, it's a circus. And people are making fun of Serie A, rightly so.
So AVS Ferrier is saying that banning Juve will be cruel and overboard punishment, but I don't think they have been banned yet. Point deduction there, 15 point ka.
Yeah.
Loads of people are in the chat. They've called Chintan Calvert Lewin, they've called DJ Rana Dagubati. These are huge compliments. These are huge compliments, bro. So thank you so much, Lord Deck.
Bro, I mean, Rana Dagubati is a massive compliment, and so is DCL. DJ, I want to ask you. There was.
Let me just address this first. Let me just Juventus. मतलब 2006 में relegate to second with a 15-point deduction, just loving. I know, but still, do you feel hard done, DJ?
Of course, yeah, Manas. I feel like you have to see the perspective, Manas. That I think I didn't end up reading that whole comment right now, which was also referring to the Catholic. No, I mean, people will say what they need to. It doesn't matter. But the point is that when you even look at 2006. None of that was proven. There were penalties that were handed out. Juve obviously suffered a year in relegation, which was not justified. By the time, and Juve didn't fight back at that point, which is why this time is going to be very, very different. When the club fights back, there will be a pushback, and obviously the way the board is constituted, they're very well aware of the legal systems and the loopholes therein. So there will be a very strong fight in court. Agnelli didn't step down. I mean, it's not a sacrifice for nothing. They did anticipate something coming their way, so obviously they've had that foresight. Elkan will not let this go easy. And I think it's just to me, there's just too much coincidence that the system is coming after that one big dog. What happens when the Calciopoli is over? Juve comes back, almost wins a decade straight in a row. So there's a lot of inbreeding in the system that is perhaps against Juve, which is understandable. But I think the degree to which they're going now is really pushing the envelope. It's like Chins pointed out, it's not really fair that one club gets singled out all the time. We also, like I said, I'm going back to this point. We don't even know on what basis these points have been deducted. Why 15? Nobody knows. And suddenly
DJ, there was something around the wages discrepancy as well, right? I mean, apparently.
Yeah. So during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I'm saying what I read was that Juve had reported that the players slashed their salaries for 4 months, but what the prosecutors are claiming is that it was only for a month. So, was it the case only for Juventus? Was it the case for other clubs? Like, what exactly is that? Because that apparently is a big piece of the entire allegation.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. At this moment, we don't have that clarity. Which clubs did it and to what degree. The difference between Juve and the other clubs in the league at the moment was, we have to keep in mind, Juve had in the form of Cristiano Ronaldo, they were paying him the salary that they were paying him. So obviously that comes more under the scanner than any other club in Italy, which comparatively to Juve have a much more mid-level salary cap. So probably doesn't come under the microscope the way Juve's does. And of course, there's a lot of stuff that happened in the pandemic, which again, people are seeking clarity on. The talk is that they asked players to cut their salaries. So they showed only those salaries on the books, and they were paying the remaining part of those salaries under the table. Again, not proven. There was talk of a secret document with Ronaldo that first somebody said that there was, and then there was a claim that there was, and then they couldn't prove it. So there's just a lot of talk at this moment, and I'm just first curious to see, like the club is curious to see, what is the basis of this investigation and the appeal. Right now, let's keep in mind, everything that has happened in these last couple of days is an appeal. It is not official yet till Juve goes to the CONI, which is the Sporting Justice Tribunal system, where they will speak.
But DJ, on the points table, minus 15 kar diya.
Correct, but it's still pending appeal. That means Juve is still going to go to the CONI and appeal this. So the season is not ending in this manner. It's fully possible that the CONI wipes out the entire 15-point deduction.
So why did what was the hurry to do it so quickly? If it's not official, if it can still be appealed, and there is a possibility of that being overturned, what was the hurry to actually go and deduct the points?
So this is coming from the prosecutor's office. It's coming from the prosecutor's office. So the CONI is a separate system altogether.
Body.
It has to be appealed in the CONI. It has to be appealed in the CONI. So whatever has been like I said, the prosecutor wanted to basis the Prisma investigation, which is a civil investigation, wanted to reopen the case. When they reopened the case, the initial reaction to that was, instead of 9 points here, we're docking you 15 points. But Juve is just waiting for that justification before which they will appeal. And that entire appeal will happen before this season ends. So these 15 points, according to me, and in fact, Chintan and I were speaking about this, quite frankly, I think there will be some docking of points, but I don't think it will be to this degree. It will perhaps, 15 will probably become 6 or 7 points, according to me. And of course, this is a layman's projection, but I don't personally see this being a 15-point deduction when everything
the entire funny part is it is not it's not related to a sporting event, right? The entire investigation which is going on has got nothing to do with sporting implications. So to merge these things and dock points immediately is a little it was a little hasty and quick. And as he said, it's just docking of points. It's just the league which tomorrow it might be overturned or it might be changed, and it might just change equivalently, I think. But the season is not ending, so I think 15 is will be overturned because it's pending Juventus appeal, and I'm pretty sure everything will be rushed because they have to do it before the season ends.
Guys,
And also, guys,
just
the board has already stepped down. So a 20-month or a 24-month ban for Agnelli, 8-month ban for Nedved, none of that affects Juve at this moment in time because they've all anticipated it. However, Cherubini, who is the sporting director, is currently active in the board, has also got a 16th-month ban. So that kind of affects Juve in the sense of, so there will be no winter transfer activity at the moment. So we're not expecting anything to happen in, whatever's left of Jan. But they have to ensure that, they will then have like this 5 to 6 month or 4 month window before June to then turn things around and, if at all, bring in a new sporting director or make sure that Cherubini's, ban is overturned.
guys, just a humble request, Dhananjay, Chintan, wherever you feel, अगर आपको comfortable लगे थोड़ा हिंदी slip in कर दो. हमारी audience थोड़ा 50-50 types है. Wherever you feel comfy. Chintan, मैं तो ये पूछना चाह रहा था, do you think you see Juventus have been targeted over here or they have got the ban? तेरे को लगता है और कोई club now will get the same punishment?
Yeah, it's harsh. It's hard to judge, बहुत ही difficult है because one thing is to take down the big fish, right? एक होता है ना, target the big fish, So I think that is the case. Plus Genoa already in doldrums, they are relegated, they are doing badly. मेरे को नहीं लगता. I don't think so. I think it's just going to be Juventus. Probably spiraling effect होगा तो it's a different thing, If it's a spiraling effect, then Juventus pointing fingers at other things might be a different issue. But मेरे को नहीं लगता. I don't think so. And all these, let's not forget, all these things are based on certain recordings, certain proofs which were provided and which is only related to Juventus. तो बाकी कोई अभी forefront में है नहीं. And what I read yesterday, all the other teams are out of it, man. But I don't think so. मेरे को नहीं लगता. And as I said, it's a big fish, target कर रहे हैं, something like that, and they've been caught. And this thing is not new, actually. It's not fairly. It's been happening for a while, this investigation. That's why very smart move. Board ने step down कर दिया था. Great move. That was a great move.
So ये अभी मेरे को chat में DJ काफी लोग are talking about Napoli as well. Osimhen का transfer is coming into limelight over here, and then कुछ youth transfers के भी 4 youth transfers for 20 million. Are you aware? तेरे को पता है नापोली ने ऐसा कुछ किया है? Is that under investigation as well?
Guys, सब लोग करते हैं ना. Like, think about it. Also, Chintan pointed out, we were talking about the Arthur and Pjanic case. Abhi Arthur or Pjanic case में if the books are cooked, then it's happening both ways, na. For the swap to happen equally, that means Barcelona has also inflated Arthur's price and Juve has inflated Pjanic's price. So, but do we see a similar investigation for Barcelona? No. However, आपको ये ध्यान देना पड़ेगा that if this thing comes under UEFA, as they are pushing, I fully expect that Juve is in for a long battle क्योंकि already हमारी Super League का जो controversy है. By the way, the War on Football, guys, is a show you must watch on Apple TV.
Apple TV.
बहुत ही बढ़िया showcase है. Basically, it will tell you the story from the perspective of Juventus, Barcelona, Madrid thinking. सोच क्या थी? When you're playing in a league that is not the EPL.
And Dhananjay is.
I think
डीजे का थोड़ा इंटरनेट का इशू लग रहा है. निधि, ये सुपर लीग के बारे में भी लोग बात कर रहे हैं कि सुपर लीग कुड बी अ रीजन व्हाई समथिंग इज ग्रोइंग अप, समथिंग इज हैपनिंग. तेको क्या लगता है निधि? इज देयर, विल आस्क चिंतन about his opinion, because at the moment obviously Serie A is churning out nowhere near the same revenue जो प्रीमियर लीग कर रहा है. अब यूवे ने की है,
देख मतलब यार एक पर्टिकुलर कोफ्त तो उनको है ही सुपर लीग से, एंड यूवेंटस ये मतलब अभी हम लोग यूवेंटस की बात कर रहे हैं, यूवेंटस तो फोर फ्रंट में था सुपर लीग के, तो वन कुड से कि अभी दे आर गोइंग, मतलब एक होता है ना कि जब आपके ऊपर नजर डाल देते हैं, व्हेन यू आर वर्किंग इन अ कंपनी एंड यू आर अंडर द स्कैनर अ बिट, then they will find the smallest of mistakes to go after. So this could be an afterglow, तो गलत word होगा बोलने के लिए, but this could be a thing from the Super League. UEFA is not happy that there is a plan to take away their cake, and consequently जब भी कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, अब आज के डेट में यूवेंटस है, कल हो सकता है कोई और क्लब हो, so they will go after these clubs and they will try to find mistakes and try to punish them for that.
मैं एज अ प्रीमियर लीग, मैं एज एन आउटसाइडर सोचता हूँ निधि, अब तू देख एवर्टन 19th है, ठीक है, वियारियल लास्ट सीजन के चैंपियंस लीग सेमीफाइनल में पहुंचा, ओके, दे बीट रियल मैड्रिड रिसेंटली, डैनजुमा वांट्स टू जॉइन एवर्टन, दैट इज द पुल पावर of the Premier League, okay. Botman, I think Milan was linked, he joined Newcastle, okay. Milan,
Unai
okay,
Emery,
मेरा पॉइंट ये,
यूवेंटस के साथ लास्ट सीजन वो चैंपियंस लीग सेमीफाइनल खेला है, he joins sorry यूवेंटस बोल रहा हूं, सॉरी वियारियल के साथ he played the Champions League semi-final. यहाँ पे he is joining Aston Villa who जो उसके ज्वाइन करने से पहले वो लोग relegation scrap में थे. So, पैसा तो है ही इधर बहुत ज्यादा,
so मैं पैसा तो है ही, so इसीलिए मैं टोटली समझ सकता हूँ कि why these big clubs, okay, want, because UEFA का obviously काम है to organize competitions, whatever they are doing, and I mean, in a way I am working for UEFA as well because I am presenting the show, but the reality is कि it's not evenly distributed, right? So of course someone an AC Milan will be thinking कि भाई इधर साला Watford is spending 150 million in a transfer window, हम लोग नहीं कर पा रहे. Okay, so this is not fair on us. Our quality is dipping, our viewership is dipping. So obviously you will join a league where you will feel respected. Is that correct? Am I correct in saying that, DJ Chintan?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said was we got De Ketelaere, and we were fighting Leeds for him. Okay, we lost Botman because we couldn't buy both. We could have bought only one player. So here we are not even fighting teams like Chelsea, United, Arsenal, City for buying players. We are fighting teams like Leeds United and Newcastle United. No disrespect for them, but that is how it is. And the whole part was now, as Nidhi spoke about how UEFA is coming after teams, and it is already Barcelona are already under the scanner too, right? They've been they're hammering on them too. They're lowering on them too with their with their wage limits and all that. The thing is, to stay in the competition, we have to give up something, right? As what you spoke about Victor Osimhen thing, Napoli gave 4 players in return who didn't end up playing for Lille anyways. They didn't even end up going to France. They didn't even end up going to Lille, but teams have to do it. Like, the only way a team like Napoli can spend 70-80 million on a player, he was linked to United, he's still linked with United. How do you fight off competition with Manchester United? For them, 70 million is change, I guess. And so for that, I think Napoli did it, but that is not, just to clarify, that is not under the scanner as of now. That has not been investigated. That transfer has not been even in the picture right now. It's just been spoken about in general. But वो अभी कोई limelight में नहीं आया है. The Napoli transfer, Victor, yeah, सबको पता है. Everyone knows, especially Serie A fans को तो सब पता है ये क्या हो रहा है youth players के साथ. For us, youth players are like, कार्ड आता था पता है ट्रेडिंग करने के लिए, वो कार्ड्स है. ये भाई मेरे को कोई प्लेयर चाहिए, भाई तू मेरे 5 यूथ प्लेयर रख ले, मेरे को 1 प्लेयर दे दे. That is what it's come down to. And how do you compete? Like, it's sad. Like, as you said, we lost Botman and he's playing so well for Newcastle. यार, it's hard. कैसे compete करें? Newcastle को नहीं हरा पा रहे यार. कैसे? How do you compete? How do you expect us to do well in a Champions League game?
So guys, I'll put you on the spot. I'll give you a hypothetical situation. Okay, now you don't represent the fan base. I'm just asking you as individual, starting you with DJ. Okay, कि अगर supposedly I tell you, you get away from UEFA, you join the Super League, you play a domestic league and your competition, but in turn you will get the financial aspect of things which you deserve, the respect you deserve financially, but no more associated with UEFA. You play the Super League. Will you take that?
Honestly, बहुत ही bias है ये answer में, because look, for me, I'm not just a Juve fan, I'm also a national team of Italy fan. तो उस हिसाब से when I look at it from the point of view of a league that is weaker than the EPL, I think it's a no-brainer. You know, because UEFA is doing precious little as far as my clubs are concerned, or my country that I support, is concerned on that level. तो आप अगर उस हिसाब से देखेंगे कि UEFA is not releasing or giving transparency to how much money is in the system. तो जब आप TV rights distribute करते हो Champions League के लिए, Juve या Milan don't know what is the actual money pot. They are just assigned a certain amount that they will get if they play these number of matches which are guaranteed in the group stage. फिर उसके बाद आप आगे जाएंगे, उस हिसाब से you will be given an allocation. Now the Super League is coming to kind of fight that, to say, अगर आप discrepancy देखें, since what is the FA Cup के अलावा, what is that main trophy where England में आप वो trophy का final खेलोगे, then you will make in the Champions League. अभी वो discrepancy and that disparity अगर आप देखो, where is a club like Naples where आप देखेंगे they're doing so well in the Champions League. It's fully indigenous. I mean, it's all the system, all their youth are coming from within because they don't have the money. ये Osimhen is a one-off, but every season Osimhen नहीं हो पाएगा. You know, they'll keep trading a player at the level of Osimhen and then buying basis what they sell. But अगर आप जाके देखें, can De Laurentiis go and say Osimhen must be complemented with Vlahovic at 80 million? Can't be done. Will not happen. But then उस हिसाब से आप compete कैसे करोगे यूरोप में? अगर compete नहीं करोगे यूरोप में, it's a vicious cycle. How are you going to make money? Where is the club going to get their revenue stream from? So it is such a big revenue stream for every club that is not part of the EPL that you have to start thinking ahead. And to be honest, ये शायद controversial opinion है, but I think the Super League is thinking ahead. It is thinking ahead for every team and league that is not the EPL. It's a little ahead of its time, but as a system, I know it will come in at some point. And अगर आप जाके देखें, UEFA has already changed their Champions League format, keeping this in mind. So they also somewhere know that the discrepancies there. इतने I think अभी 10 साल से ये बात हो रही है Super League की, and for that time UEFA has paid attention, but the only time they've made a move is after the Super League was announced. So they've known it all this while, but they don't care. They don't care about what the other clubs are facing at this moment in time, and I think that's where the Super League was really it came from. And these are not small clubs. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, Milan to a degree, सब सोच रहे हैं Super League के बारे में. It's not something that was born overnight. Obviously the struggle has been long, and somebody has to address it. So I continue to see this disparity. I think the Super League was a great idea. बहुत unfortunate है कि it was not recognized by UEFA. If there was a way for the clubs to break out, I would have in support.
Chintan, the same question to you.
Yeah, I agree, but only to an extent that all the teams are bleeding other than EPL teams. And just to keep things in perspective, I'll tell you, when the season where Inter Milan won the league, where Milan finished second, we got less money than Crystal Palace, who finished 16th. See the disparity. 16th in the league in EPL got more money than Milan finishing second in Serie A. That just shows the picture. But again, as you asked, Manas, पहले पूछा था, as a football fan, not as a Milan fan, or as a football fan, I like the idea behind Super League, but I don't like Super League in one reason is I don't want to see Milan a Milan versus Real Madrid, a premium tie to be played every weekend or every 2 weeks. I don't want that. What the ideal picture should be is to take, yeah, again इसमें क्या होने वाला है, the Milans, the Juventus, the Barcelonas are going to shoot up again financially, but what about the teams like Atlanta, Villarreal's over there? What are they going to do? Valencia, they're also decently historic teams, so I think if those teams are as in when the leagues are supported, that is what the clubs want. No one wants Barcelona, Milan, Juventus don't want to play separately. Is that if the league gets certain support, तो दूसरे टीम को थोड़ा push मिलेगा. If a team like, now imagine if Milan can't compete with Newcastle, how do you expect Atlanta? And I think Manas really likes how Atlanta played football, right? They're beautiful to watch, they're pleasing to the eye. कैसे sustain करेंगे Atlanta against teams like a Manchester United who are spending so much and might be playing Champions League next season? तो वो disparity as a fan, मेरे को as a Milan fan, yes, I want Milan to get money. I want Milan to at least spend 50 million on a player. ऐसे बोलने भी मैं now if you ask me right now, my thinking is so small when it comes to Milan. If you tell me this plays for 30 million, I start laughing. I was like, no chance Milan are going to bid for him, right? January में 30 million मतलब next year का budget मेरा चला गया है. So it is funny, and the player which Arsenal bought, QR, right now from
QR, yeah.
Milan and Juventus were fighting for it last season. 15 million, and Spezia said no, and Arsenal like changed bottom in January, and we couldn't buy him in June, July, because Milan and Juventus had a huge a fight going on for him, and 15 was the tops what Juventus offered, and then Juventus went for Bremer. So idea अच्छा है Super League का, and it sounds like the English teams also did so well by stepping out of Chelsea. Everyone knows, just to put things into perspective again, what Chelsea spent in this winter mercato is more than 16 Serie A teams and 14 La Liga teams. It is jaw-dropping. What Chelsea spend on Joao Felix's loan, 11 million, 12 million. We can't buy a player worth 11 million, and ZH, they want us to pay his 5 million salary, which Milan said, I'm sorry, we can't pay. So that just puts things into perspective, and I don't think Chelsea have stopped. Chalu hai unka to abhi bhi. And I understand where Liverpool, I saw a picture, I read an article somewhere there, Chelsea have spent in one season what Liverpool has spent in 10 seasons. And as fans in EPL, you might thinking that, okay, Liverpool are spending less comparatively to other leagues. Just imagine what we are sitting here and feeling.
Yeah, to
Absolutely.
put things into perspective, आपकी टीम second most historic prestigious team है यूरोप में. मतलब एटलीस्ट स्टैट्स वाइज अगर आप यूरोपियन कप्स की बात करोगे, और ये हालत है. इट रियली डज पुट थिंग्स इनटू पर्सपेक्टिव कि मतलब हमारी पब्लिक एफएसजी और एंड करेक्टली बिकॉज करेक्टली क्यों, बिकॉज हम तो ये लीग में ना, हम तो ये लीग में compete कर रहे हैं जहां सब लोग इतना खर्चा कर रहे हैं. हमारा तो रेवेन्यू यही लीग से आ रहा है ना, जो दूसरी टीम्स को भी मिल रहा है हमारे लीग में. सो मैं समझ सकता हूं, बट अगर आप थोड़ा पर्सपेक्टिव समझोगे तो फिर इट इज शॉकिंग, निधि. सो एंड I genuinely don't blame teams from other leagues wanting the Super League. जितनी भी मैं बात करूं, I don't blame them यार. क्यों, why won't they want to be in the same bracket?
मैं पता है, मैं एक चीज तो मैं एड्रेस कर देता हूँ यार. देखो, आज जो डिस्कशन है वो इटालियन फुटबॉल के बारे में है. बार्सिलोना, रियल मैड्रिड, वी विल हैव दैट डिस्कशन आल्सो सम अदर टाइम. आज के लिए प्लीज लेट्स कंसंट्रेट ऑन इटालियन फुटबॉल, और उसके बारे में बात करते हैं. It's not very often that we have these gentlemen on the panel, the busy people, right? So यार एक चीज एंड एक्सिस्टेंशियल टाइप का थोड़ा क्वेश्चन है, थोड़ा फिलोसॉफिकल है. आई विल कम टू यू डीजे फर्स्ट. नाउ ईपीएल, प्रीमियर लीग वी टॉक, एंड हमने चेल्सी की बात की. वी सी द लाइक्स ऑफ एवरी क्लब, यू नो, इवन फॉरगेट द बिग सिक्स एंड ऑल दैट. आप एक बार एवर्टन की स्पेंडिंग देख लो, आप एक बार एस्टन विला की स्पेंडिंग देख लो. डू यू सी, you know, Super League is one thing, and Super League जो कि मुझे लगता है कि I think it is inevitable, but it is some ways away. थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा Super League को आने में, और Super League को fruition में complete होने में. लेकिन do you see that for example, when you talk about the ownership in Italy, not just about the team and जिस तरह की ownership है, क्या वो change हो सकता है? Can you anticipate, or do you anticipate, for example, Middle East ownership entering Italian football? Would the powers to be comfortable with that? Do you think that?
So Nidhi, ये बात actually पहले हुई थी. There was interest in a couple of clubs, in Italy. And keep in mind that when you look at it as a cultural melting pot, Italy is a very attractive destination for players per se. So अगर आप Middle Eastern ownership की बात करते हैं, imagine a Middle Eastern fund coming in and buying a club like Palermo, for example. The lifestyle for a player at that salary and living in Palermo is beautiful compared to any other place, with due respect, in England, including living in London.
Yeah.
So that has been talked, but abhi kya hai, because of the disparity being what it is, these clubs in leagues outside of EPL don't have a strong brand equity. So that is a very strong consideration subset for any fund or potential owner from the Middle East or elsewhere coming in. The only ownership that would be considered, whether ownership coming in from China or the Middle East, would be looking at the big 3 or 4 clubs in Italy, namely Juventus, Milan, Inter, and maybe, if at all at a pinch, given the kind of football Napoli are playing, they would generate interest. So उस हिसाब से it is very plausible that one way of kind of upsetting the apple cart financially is Middle Eastern ownership coming in. And frankly, I think Chintan and I have spoken about this. I'm personally in favor, because I feel it'll also help all the clubs in system to up their game. When I say up their game, agar aap dekho, in the league, there are only 2 or 3 clubs that own their own stadiums in Italy. Some of that is that gross domestic product. It's not very fan friendly or TV friendly. That also eats into why TV rights are what they are, why sponsorship is what it is. Italy as a whole is such an old country that they are still so rooted in Italia 90. Some of the stadiums that we see today were built then.
Exactly. Napoli Stadium is in such a
going
bad
to bring that
state.
to speed?
Sorry,
Very bad.
DJ.
So who's going to
There's a
that?
lag.
That is all part of the. Is there still a lag? Is this okay?
No. Now it's fine. Sorry.
So who's responsible for that? So it is a little like a chicken and egg situation. Like I feel like Italy has to up their game, get out of all this nonsense of there being scandals and always looking to shoot yourself in the foot. You haven't even bloody qualified for the World Cup. I mean, ridiculous. Where after winning the Euro, who's to blame? It's your mentality, it's your mindset. The same guy who's won you Euro was caught up because he was stuck in his Italian thinking with his own stubborn mindset. They need to break out of that, and I feel like when Middle Eastern or Chinese ownership, to a degree, Inter's ownership, I don't really consider to that degree, because there's just so many Italians still in that ecosystem, running the show for that Chinese conglomerate. But my point is that, let's say Middle Eastern ownership comes in, everyone has to think afresh to get up to speed, including Juve. Juve has been a very forward-thinking club, building their own stadium, creating an arena which is an experiential center. Trying to get in like a Ronaldo to kind of get like eyeballs. You guys will be surprised. Juventus signed Ronaldo for the first time in God knows how many years. The Italian matches had a pre-show. And it is thanks to one single individual coming into the ecosystem. It breaks my heart, but I find it so funny, So this is a league that has to do a lot of work internally before, but I think like ownership coming in, I'm very in favor of it. People tried it for Juve. People, obviously, there was ownership change for Milan, which personally I was not in favor of, because Milan, again, being the legacy club that it is, you always wanted to be with the person that you saw when you started first experiencing Milan and its legacy. It's the same for Juve, but Inter, there's going through, their ownership battles right now with Suning, etc. But I'm very much in favor. So वो आएगा, I feel it will to a degree get the ecosystem moving, you know. There'll be more youth. Already आप देखें clubs like Udinese, Atlanta, they're making a name for themselves. Napoli, how are they keeping up with a club like Juve, for example? You can't financially compete. तो आप क्या करोगे? आप youth को blood करोगे, and then you'll bring that youth into the thing, and you'll play a system-based ideology of football, you know. And I think that's what new ownership will also do, because then suddenly I'll wake up and I'll be like, we need our own stadium at least, you know. We can't compete with them monetarily. Let's bring in what is unique to us. Let's keep blooding our youth. That's good for the league. That's good for the country. That's good for the eyeballs on TV. That's good for TV rights. So definitely, I think Italy kind of needs that boost. Bahar se, you know, one big Middle Eastern fund coming in, I think will be very interesting.
Chintan, you are on board with that idea?
Oh, definitely. I think aesthetically, I think Milan is doing well. I think amongst the few Serie A clubs, I think hierarchy-wise, direction-wise, I think Milan are going in the right direction. But yeah, no point, to be honest. Direction right है. On paper, Moncada हमारे पास है. We have Paolo Maldini, who is doing great. But आगे क्या? If we lose targets, then there's no point. But then again, I would like to add now, everyone knows that the Newcastle owners, PIF, Public Investment Fund, were pretty close of buying Inter Milan. Now, I tell you a small incident. Milan and Inter Milan share their stadium. The municipality is involved. Project कब से डाल दिया Elliot ने for a project to build a new stadium. This being a historic site, they don't want to demolish it. But अभी तक municipality ने clear नहीं किया है. Now tell me, as a Saudi owner or an investment firm or a fund, why would you dirty your hands where even a small municipality can't even clear something so tiny, which is going to help the city, the clubs playing in the city? यार ये मैस नीचे से चालू हो रहा है. ये ऊपर से थोड़ा दिखावा है. What sometimes people outside don't see. अरे San Siro इतना historic stadium. I was reading everywhere. I love San Siro. It has got emotions. I'm not joking. Those pillars, and when you see, I think it just not now, at least 10 years ago, it used to put shivers down all the players, you know, when you're standing in the middle, when there are three tires, when people are shouting, it sends shivers, you know. But अभी आगे क्या उधर ही अटके हुए हैं. And it's not owned by Milan, right? So जो revenue आ रहा है हम लोग को तो नहीं मिल रहा है. So when a fund comes in, when we have our own stadium, what Deej said is, then I feel Milan to an extent going in the right direction. But अगर ऊपर owner है जो 100-200 million डालने को भी ready है, जो road map बनाया है वो follow करने को भी ready है. Teams like Atlanta, who are doing so well right now, okay? उनको क्या चाहिए? Just they want to compete with a Milan and a Juventus for the title every year. तो क्या चाहिए? उनको थोड़ा fund चाहिए. तो I think if something comes from outside, it will help. But now again, as an investor, यार निधि मनस तुम लोग दोनों सोचो. If you want to invest, even if you love the club, सोचोगे कि नहीं एक बार के रिटर्न्स क्या मिलेगा? कभी मिलेगा मेरे को रिटर्न्स. अटलांटा एक सीजन आया चला गया. उडनेजी भी आया है चैंपियंस लीग में, फ्लोरेंटीना भी आया हुआ है चैंपियंस लीग में, यू नो, एटलीस्ट खेले हुए क्वालिफायर्स. बट आगे क्या कंसिस्टेंसी किधर है? एंड इंटर एंड मिलान, Juventus are different right now because they are self-generating club right now as of now. But when you talk about two other massive clubs, which are the Milan Giants, किधर है यार? So बाहर से fund आया will definitely help. Now we have same owners, right? Liverpool and Milan have the same owners right now. At least the thing is, you are making this into a profitable organization. जो अच्छा लग रहा है, मॉडल अच्छा लग रहा है, बट compete नहीं कर पाएंगे.
Fair. Guys, first of all, absolutely loving the conversation. 350 people जुड़े हुए हैं, so please like करिए stream को. अगर आपने अभी तक subscribe नहीं किया है to Menace the Monk, please do subscribe to the channel. Thanks, Sagar. Yeah, this is a really great conversation. हमने आपके comments star किए हैं, हम धीरे धीरे लेंगे. So keep your comments, your questions when it comes to Italian football coming. सादिक भाई का comment ले लेते हैं question. DJ, you wanna answer this?
I think it's an excellent question actually. First, let's answer in general. अगर आप देखें इस season for the first time in many years, maybe also a function of Allegri struggling at the start of the season, but he started using a lot of youngsters. और यूवे का विजन आगे जाके बहुत सिंपल है, मॉडल वैसे भी बदलने वाला है, where they are not going to spend big on players above 25 years of age. It's a very youth-based model, which is going to be that you're going to spend money, you're going to spend 25, so you will spend big, and then you will have somewhat of a salary cap on that talent, to bring them into your system. Uske alawa, Juve's plan is that in the next 5 years, between 70 to 80% of your starting lineup is coming through your youth ranks. अगर आप अभी जाके देखें immediately, as of today, Juve is already blooding 3 or 4 key youngsters from their youth system because these guys are doing so well, on the Primavera stage. Why shouldn't they break through to the first team? So आप देखें Iling Jr., Miretti, Fagioli, all of them are now becoming mainstays in this current first team lineup. So it's an excellent question. अगर वो रहा, that point deduction penalty remained, I think Juve will just use that opportunity to bring more and more systems, and it'll be maybe the silver lining is that वो catalyst बनेगा. Instead of waiting 5 years, you will see that process will start as of today. So yeah. So I just think that will be key, and I think it's not all doom and gloom.
Fair.
Fair enough.
Yes. I think so. I've been having this discussion with Deej for a while now, that this Napoli looks different. There's something about this Napoli which doesn't look like they're gonna choke, and they have the momentum. And psychologically, their biggest barrier has always been Juve. When the Milanese giants were in the dumps, that time they were only fighting the title. They were only fighting for supremacy with Juve. So beating them was a huge step. Not just beating them, how they beat them. Statement of authority. And I think he's integrated youth and experience very well. People thought losing Dres Mertens kind of players, Insigne and Dres Mertens, अरे यार कैसे कोप अप करेंगे,
अच्छा ही हो गया।
अब वही
बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा हो गया।
And you are talking about a Georgian midfielder who is tearing up the league, not just the league, even in UCL,
Europe,
and who thought, who thought integration is very important. What I think Sachi, what the question said was Arrigo was a master. He probably revolutionized football, but implementation was important. I think Spalletti is doing very well, and as Deej mentioned, I guess the only way for teams like Napoli to go up, is by implementing youth. And I think this season is their season. I think if they mess up now, they have a 12-point league with Milan going to play on Wednesday. But I think if they mess this up now, then it's hard to get out of that mindset. But I don't see them losing it. So I think, and I feel they might go further they might surprise a few teams in UCL too. So I'll be present. I won't be surprised if they go to the quarters or the semis too.
भाई मेरे को तो लग रहा है it's written in the stars for them to have a great season.
By the way, it's historically Napoli, Argentina doing well means Napoli doing well. So
yeah.
Stars are aligned.
वही Maradona passed away, then Argentina won the World Cup, and it looks like Napoli again. I think यार league जीत ही जाएंगे वो यहाँ से. If they fuck up, it's going to be a monumental fuck up if you ask me.
But just imagine it's going to be great for the league, right? If Napoli wins it this season,
Last 4 years, 4 different winners.
4 different winners.
Exactly.
Which says a lot, and not that the other teams are out of the mix, right? I'm talking, चलो Juventus, forget that point deduction, भूल जाओ. But यार वो जो last 3 teams जीती है, वो top 3 में ही है, top 4 में ही है. So it is a very interesting battle. Napoli का वो जो starting का वो जो take off बहुत अच्छा चला गया था. I think Inter Milan, according to me, I feel the strongest team is Inter Milan on paper for me. Model wise, Inzaghi coming in, taking over a model which is similar to what this guy was doing, Conte was doing. So I think overall picture में इंटर का मॉडल सबसे सेट लग रहा है मुझे कि फ्यूचर में आगे अच्छा ही करेगी, बट ग्रेट फॉर Serie A.
एब्सोल्युटली यार, वो तो मतलब नहीं मतलब देख यार, मानस को थोड़ी देर में निकलना है, तो वी विल कंटिन्यू दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन एंड थोड़ा हम लोग ना ये डूम एंड ग्लूम और यूए का पॉइंट डिडक्शन से आगे निकल के ना विल टॉक अ लिटिल बिट अबाउट हाउ Syria is the most exciting top tier league in all of Europe. Like
Surely.
you, हाँ मतलब थोड़ा हम लोग बात करेंगे दूसरे टीम्स के बारे में भी. एएस रोमा, मोरिनियो गया है उधर. इट इज लाइक वहां पे भी कुछ अलग ही चल रहा है.
अरे Mourinho के
It's
comments, it's I think the best part about staying up for Roma games is Mourinho's comments. अरे यार legendary आदमी है यार.
मतलब बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है. गाइस, एक देयर इज वन सुपर चैट, वो मैं एड्रेस कर लेता हूँ.
कर ले.
तुषार, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर द कंट्रीब्यूशन ब्रदर. सो तुषार ने एक पॉडकास्ट किया है विद अ यूरोपियन स्पोर्ट्स लॉयर. वो आप जरूर चेकआउट करिए, बट आफ्टर दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन प्लीज. अभी यहाँ पे रहिए. अभी यहाँ पे रहिए. अभी यहाँ पे रहिए, उसके बाद आप वहां पे जाके बिल्कुल चेकआउट करिए. और थैंक यू फॉर द कंट्रीब्यूशन तुषार.
Is there any roadmap to revolutionize Italian stadiums? Because DJ, I mean, of course, Juventus have done that. Okay, Juventus have taken that first step of having their own stadium. But so I follow this Twitter account, Football Away. Okay, Football Away something. Okay, and this is not a dig at any team. This is not a dig at any team at all. But जैसे सैन सीरो का अवे स्टेडियम का टॉयलेट दिखाया था, एंड मतलब I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Honestly, I couldn't believe that this is San Siro, you know. Then ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजें दिखाई हैं, एंड इटालियन क्लब्स का स्पेशली दिखाया है, स्पेशली फॉर द अवे फैंस. इट्स अ शिट होल लिटरली. Do you think something is going to change or has to change? Chintan, तेरा भी ओपिनियन लूंगा, but DJ, do you think this is something which the Italian Serie A has to address?
100% guys. Abhi wo to, that's what we were discussing. If ownership came in from elsewhere, that would be something that all the clubs would have to do. Wholesale. Those changes are important. Abhi ke liye फिलहाल not everyone is thinking like that. आपको ध्यान रखना है कि इटली में there is a very strong provincial mentality, across clubs, because all of them, their stadiums are owned by their local municipalities. So वो mindset जो ingrained है, it's very hard to break that. फिलहाल अभी Udinese has just got their own new stadium. They've done a fabulous job. Juventus have theirs. Then you have from a point of view of the Milan clubs, abhi wo baat kar rahe hain, because again they're legacy clubs. They have to have a stadium that represents that legacy. But uske अलावा अगर आप देखें Napoli for example, वो थोड़ा maybe Napoli needs a little bit of on-field success to break through and say, okay, it's time that we also start looking like a global club, international European stage kind of club. At that point, maybe something will trigger. But uske niche aap dekhe, Sampdoria, Genoa. Sampdoria, in fact, is also with the stadium. But uske अलावा, if you see, there is a lot of ये mentality की बात है, and FIGC की जो mentality है, it's not very forward thinking. It's very deep rooted in red tape issues. तो बहुत slowly शायद ये होगी, but a lot of this is linked to their results on the field. These clubs, if they are not successful, they don't see the point of putting money into the system, into the ecosystem. So I think वो बहुत slow होगा, which is why there's talk of like a breakaway league where it becomes lucrative for clubs on top. There's more TV rights in the local league as a result, etc., etc. But abhi ke liye, I think Italy is far and away, much behind countries like England, Germany, in terms of establishing a more TV friendly football culture.
Chintan?
Yes, I'll tell you my personal experience when I had gone to San Siro, and I'd gone with my wife and a Juventino. Dij, I had gone with Dhruv to see a Milan versus Juventus at San Siro. He was with his wife, and we were all sitting together, of course, in a stand which is more friendly towards away fans. So when you go to pee outside, there is no male. There's no. There is of course male and female different toilet, but they're just those uh, those toilet cubicles. You know, those blue boxes which you get in an event, which is where we have those fun and fairs where you have those small tiny blue uh, easily movable toilets, which
Yeah.
stinks, which is quite bad. Grand stadium, of course, everything amazing. But when even something as small as food, when you want to eat something, again, not very easily accessible. So all these fan experiences, when you travel so many miles away from your own country to see a game, these fan experiences really jilt you a lot. So वो थोड़ा फर्क पड़ता है यार, बट ये क्या है, ये जैसा नीज ने बोला, ये डीप रूटेड है यार. इटालियंस थिंक हम लोग राइट है और हम लोग का वे सही है, बिकॉज हिस्टोरिकली बहुत अच्छा था सेरिया 20 साल पहले, 30 साल पहले. तो हाँ, वो वापस आ जाएगा, हो जाएगा. अभी मिलान का ओनर्स चेंज हुआ, अरे जीत जाएगी वापस. यूवेंटस है, अरे वो तो लीग जीत रही है, पैसा तो मिल रहा है. सो दे थिंक, एंड अभी I feel winning Euros was the biggest, biggest, what do you call it? It just, unfortunately, it might just blind them a little bit. Oh yeah, we have players who can still compete, but then again, I think not qualifying for World Cup was the biggest kick up their bums. That ये किधर है? Where are you standing? Youth players नहीं है. So stadiums, so as Deej said, you can't even go. Nidhi, you guys have gone to Anfield, you guys have seen Champions League finals. अब इधर जाओ, तुम लोग enter भी नहीं करोगे. I'm talking about Indian toilets, where you have to crunch and sit, and especially when if some people are drunk, how hard's that going to be, man?
Yeah. DJ, I want to talk a little bit about Juventus now. Outside of this point deduction and all these issues, I think it's fair to say Juventus were in a bit of a crisis anyway on the field issues. This season anyway, they clawed their way back to the second position, and now they've been hit by this. I'll come to one question straight away. Do you see, some of your superstars or important players leaving Juve, and especially in light, if this deduction sticks, and with that, what is the direction you are seeing Juventus move into? Because the fans are not very happy with Allegri. Now there is a possibility of a fire sale.
So, Nidhi, I think off the bat, it will be important to clarify that I don't foresee a fire sale, on a club perspective or as a fan. I don't see it. I don't even see it at a player level. If there's any player that wants to leave, they would perhaps leave for tactical reasons. There's a lot of talk of people thinking that they can snap up Vlahovic and Chiesa as a result of this. It's not going to happen. Juve will not sell. And if they are to sell, it will be Vlahovic saying he's unhappy under Allegri's system. So a lot of that conversation is going to wait till the end of the season. A lot of it. And I think we need to understand we will get Chiesa, Vlahovic, Miretti, Fagioli. There is already a lot of youth in the system. That youth is going to already come to the forefront. They already are. So there's...
DJ, it's okay. You can address that.
Yeah. So no. So keeping these things in mind, there will be no fire sale. I mean, most certainly not. So what is happening, and I personally, as a fan, that I'm not happy with is, and I think Chintan and I have spoken about this very, pertinently, where the key to Juve's issues at the moment on the field are they are just so stuck in what they achieved 5 years ago. That is what's holding them back today. It's just that vicious cycle that's just going on and on and on because of Allegri. He's rooted in what he achieved 5 years ago. That's not where modern football is today. Ironically, guys, most recent example, he has been, when he was struggling, he started to bring youth into the system because then that makes people sit up and take notice that, okay, Allegri is a forward-thinking guy. He's bringing youth into the system. The same youth that brought him up the table to that second place before the Napoli showdown, he decides to bench them for the Napoli game because he just lapses back into his old pattern of saying, let me play the player that's bigger on paper. But it would have been, according to me, if not a different scoreline, a certainly different game, the way it played out, if we had seen Fagioli and Miretti. They put in the hard yards. They don't play like an entitled lot. And most importantly, because Allegri doesn't seem to have a system of his own or an ideology he's implementing on the field, at least they play forward-thinking football because they're coming through the youth ranks, which is thinking modern football, you know. So to me, that is really where it's at. And I think as the season progresses, a lot of what is going to happen at Juve will happen in the summer. Keep in mind, Allegri is not by any means guaranteed with or without the point deduction. You know, his job is not guaranteed because they're going to see, you know, let's assume the point deduction is taken away and Juve ends up fourth. Allegri is, you know, is still going to very much be discussed, you know, if he is really the way forward. There's a lot of people in the system already that, you know, want a change of ideology for the person that is managing the team. There's talk of Zidane coming in. Of course, that has now bearing on whether these points are docked or not. I don't see Zizou come in if Juve don't finish in the top four. You know, quite frankly, it'll not be worth his while. But if he does choose to come in and take up the project, I see like the youngsters getting blood a lot quicker. And I think Juve will at least start playing a more European way, which is what they've been trying to do. They tried to do it with Sarri, they tried to do it with Pirlo. And then, you know, because they were not getting the results, they just lapsed back into that old Italian mentality and said, let's get the guy who got us the 5 straight Scudetti and let's bring him back. It's the same. They wanted to move away from Allegri's thinking and they brought him back because they were linking themselves to results. So, yeah. A lot of what is going to happen in the summer. Right now is not the time to speculate.
Right. Yeah, there's one question. I would like to say, देखो यार, racism यहाँ पे factor नहीं है. मतलब owners को मतलब आपको दिख रहा है कि इंटर मिलान में Chinese consortium owners हैं, और racism is not a big reason. I don't think racism will stop investors from coming in. Racism हर जगह होता है. आप मीडिया में कहीं पे कुछ कंट्रीज का आप ज्यादा रिपोर्ट्स पढ़ लेते हो, बट हाँ, मतलब ये एक इशू है यूरोप में. एंड मतलब मैं उसमें आई लास्ट चिंतन डू यू थिंक, एंड नॉट रेसिज्म पर से, बट लेट्स से द इटालियन जो आपके जो पावर्स टू बी हैं वो एक फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट को, फॉरेन इनफ्लक्स को ब्लॉक करते हैं. डू यू थिंक सो?
Yeah,
it's probably not racism. It's being a little you know, old school in your thinking that will not let others come in.
Yes. That's what I was. That's what I was said. Right. That if कोई नया owner आना चाहेगा and they see that Milan don't even have their own stadium, commission करेंगे, they'll put it up to the municipal corporators that let's make a new stadium. It gets approved. Somewhere it gets stuck. Back to square one. Get a new owner. Cycle again. Back to square one. So yeah, there are a lot of hindrances. There are a lot of things which pull you back. Yeah, racism. Hey, like as you said, I think racism is everywhere, and a lot of Milan have a lot of great players now. Like Fick Tomori is one of our probably a crowd favorite right now. Liao is, everyone knows, he's a sensation. So
Tammy Abraham.
Tammy is huge, you know, and so I think hota hai, racism sab jagah hota hai, but that won't stop the owners from coming in, because eventually owners kya dekhenge? Trophies chahiye, popularity chahiye, paisa chahiye. So revenue chahiye, exactly. And as I said, even if some Italians or even if some sector of fans are racist, but I don't understand, they still, like, example, if some Milan fans are racist, take for example towards Tammy, how are you doing it when you have your own Fikayo Tomori, you know? So doesn't work that way, right? You can't be racist toward one particular player from, and I feel they don't do it with, that's what I've understood. They don't do it with the intention of being racist, but to you know, just to put the player down of the opposition team. Like like they will do it just to probably put a Tammy down, you know, so that he does not play well. not realizing that you also have a Fikayo Tomori in your own team. So I guess they don't understand their racist. I feel that's their biggest problem, but that won't certainly slow them down for at least. But yeah, there are a lot of red flags for owners coming in. Like easy now, I'm saying it's very easy for a Saudi owner to buy Juventus because they are a self-generated club right now.
That's the thing, right? अगर आप बात करते हो यूवेंटस की, एसी मिलान की, इंटर मिलान की, ये क्लब्स का फैन बेस इज ह्यूज. मतलब मुझे ये नहीं समझ आ रहा है, बट द ओनली थिंग, एंड यू गाइस हैव एक्सप्लेन्ड इट वेरी वेल, कि भाई आपको दिख रहा है कि इतना बड़ा फैन बेस है. आर यू टेलिंग मी देयर इज नो बिजनेसमैन हु इज सिटिंग देयर थिंकिंग हियर्स दिस ह्यूज क्लब, इतनी हिस्ट्री है, एसी मिलान सेकंड मोस्ट सक्सेसफुल क्लब इन द चैंपियंस लीग हिस्ट्री, यूरोपियन कप, चैंपियंस लीग, जो भी आप उसको नाम बदल जाते हैं, तो आप उसका एडवांटेज कैसे नहीं ले रहे हो? दिस इज व्हाट इज पजलिंग टू मी एज. बट अगेन चिंतन, आई वुड लाइक टू से वन थिंग कि यार यहाँ पे हम थोड़ा प्रिविलेज्ड हो जाते हैं, क्योंकि हमने अभी कोडी गैक्पो को 37 मिलियन का साइन किया है और उसका स्टार्ट उतना, मतलब ही बीन हैड अ स्लो स्टार्ट, तो हम बोलते हैं यार 37 मिलियन का तो प्लेयर है, राइट? एंड देन ऑन द अदर हैंड यू हैव यू गाइस. बट आई वॉन्ट टू, यार मैं थोड़ा ना डूम एंड ग्लूम एंड इटालियन फुटबॉल में क्या प्रॉब्लम है उसको छोड़ के ना, डीजे आई कम टू यू, एंड बिफोर आई कम टू यू एंड बिफोर आई आस्क यू दैट क्वेश्चन, गाइज, इफ यू डोंट वॉच सीरिया मैचेस, आपके दिमाग में एक इमेज होगी कि इटालियन फुटबॉल बहुत स्लो है, प्लेयर्स धीरे धीरे पास करते हैं, 10 बार देखते हैं उसके बाद. दैट हैज चेंज्ड. इटालियन फुटबॉल इज जेन्युइनली, अगर आप नेपोली के मैचेस देखोगे, अगर आप मिलान, इंटर मिलान, इवन यूवेंटस, अभी तो थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम है जैसे डीजे ने एक्सप्लेन किया, बट what's your take on the football that is played in Italy, DJ? Because it has changed, let's be honest, it has changed by leaps and bounds. Would you agree?
But of course Nidhi, 100% agree. But जैसे हम बात कर रहे थे, this is a function now of what happened in the years that Juventus were dominating 9 years in a row. How could other clubs compete? So they couldn't compete financially. So what did they do? They started relying on their youth and they started using more system-based ideology. Take Atlanta, for example. You take present day. You take Monza, for example. They're headed by a Juve youth product in Palladino. But you look at the football they play. Fabulous football. Again, it is system and ideology based. What that means is relying on youngsters. It is trying to keep up with the modern game, because that's how you fight back against a Juventus, which is a monstrosity, and will buy a Ronaldo and it'll buy a Dybala and they'll play them together. How do you counter that? You can't counter that by playing good old Catenaccio. You counter that with pace, and you counter that with playing as a collective. You transition forward in attack, you transition back in defense. You see all of them now are all playing that kind of football. And you can see it in the scorelines now. You'll hardly see on a football weekend in Italy a one-love scoreline. Besides, unfortunately, Juventus, which is stuck and mired in that one-love, old school, thanks to Allegri. Uske alawa, agar jaake dekho, there is, these guys are playing like, they're like 3-2 games, they're 2-love games. There's a lot of goals being scored. And I think that's the way forward also, because they've got so much youth in the system now, And that is why Italy actually won the Euro. Because that same system-based ideology is what Mancini used. He didn't rely on superstars. That team hardly had any. Traditionally Italy is a team that's always stacked with superstars. So that Euro result was so refreshing because it came on the basis of just the team playing as a collective, without any star. Okay, Chiesa, fine, he was a breakout, but he wasn't there because he was a star. He was there because he was serving a purpose. So, and I think the Italian league has grown leaps and bounds. It's unfortunate that it's not a made for TV product yet. And I think that's where, that has to change. When that changes, it'll become like what we see in the Bundesliga. Sometimes आप TV को on करोगे, you feel like seeing a game because of the atmosphere in the stadium and the way the stadium looks. You don't care about the team that's playing. मगर आप Italian league on करोगे, you'll see like a small stadium, provincial. You'll see that the crowd is not involved. You'll see the football is now better, but now the stadium needs to complement that experience.
Absolutely, Chintan. एक ये इमेज जो है बहुत सारे लोगों के दिमाग में कि इटालियन फुटबॉल इज बोरिंग. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, डीजे आंसर्ड दैट परफेक्टली. मैं चिंतन एक चीज पूछना चाहता हूँ. हाउ डिड इटली नॉट क्वालिफाई फॉर द वर्ल्ड कप? इट्स अ मिस्ट्री. इट्स अ बिग मिस्ट्री.
Oh yeah, I think it was surprising. It was actually very shocking to see that. I guess they set their own standards high and they couldn't break it. And the thing is, what Deej said was very surprising to see the quality of football they played in Euros, and to break that record of the most number of wins in a row. And the thing is, I guess with the World Cup qualifiers, they just got stuck and they couldn't break teams down. And then those two Jorginho penalty misses, which against Switzerland, and playing against North Macedonia, kept on banging on the door, and they just scored a blinder. So I guess it is very hard to fathom it, but I think needed, yaar. I to be very honest, hindsight में बहुत अच्छा हुआ था, बहुत बड़ा झटका लगा. Yeah, it is. The thing is, the players got a check too, right? Sometimes as a player also, you win Euros, you get that mental check to कि boss वो qualify किया, वो जीते, लेकिन World Cup qualify नहीं किया. They were all sitting at home, seeing such a fabulous World Cup which unraveled in front of us. Come on, everyone thought क्या होगा World Cup Qatar में, लेकिन I think probably one of the best World Cups I've seen after 2006, surely.
100%.
And it was great. So I guess in a way it's good. But what Deej said, I totally agree. This whole idea about the misconception what people have about Serie A, I think it's been totally outdated. To be very honest, if you compare
3-4 साल से it is interesting. ऐसा नहीं कि it's like 3-4 साल से पहले.
Yeah, it is. I think since the time I think Sarri took over Juventus, I think वो time से enterprising football, you can use the word, and my point is, if you consider every week in, week out, number of goals scored in Serie A and EPL, Serie A is way more than EPL also at times. And as you said, lower teams now, that fear is out of the window, right? Like that fear of playing at San Siro and Allianz Arena. Like, अरे नहीं यार, उधर जाके भी जीत के आएंगे. Like, I still remember last season, I think Sassuolo played so great against Juventus. They beat Juventus, Milan, and Inter Milan away from home. All the three teams. Sassuolo is that kind of a team. They probably play the best football against the top 10, and they play completely. Yeah, De Zerbi.
Roberto, bring him back to Italy.
Yeah, and I think there are a good bunch of Italian coaches. What Deej said, bang on. When you don't have the resources, you rely on what you have. Now, I'm sure people are not aware of how great the Abate is playing with the Milan youth, how well we played even in the UEFA Youth League. We qualified and we did really well. So what we have to, and especially a club like, we have to do that, right? Because we can't go out and buy a 70-80 million player. And as you said, like about Gakpo, Milan fans are completely upset about CDK, De Ketelaere, 35 million not working. But the point is, वो नहीं होने वाला था यार. लियाओ को भी 1-2 सीजन लगे, टोनाली को भी 1-2 सीजन लगे to click in and to work well. You can't expect a 20-year-old something coming from a Belgium league to play well in Serie A. But you see the way Milan unfortunately can't replicate it in Europe right now, because there's a fear factor, I feel, somewhere. But if you see Milan playing in Serie A, great football, it's pretty entertaining. And if you saw the league, if you saw the Super Cup over the week, how well Inter Milan played against AC Milan, it was surprising. It's great to see all the teams doing so well. And I agree with Deej when it says that Allegri, Juventus are stuck. But no, not my place to say it. But I do feel Juventus need to move away from Allegri and somewhere like a De Zerbi or a Zidane.
It will be very interesting. So by the way, there was one comment. Let me just address it. So RD, Dhananjay और Chintan के channels अभी तक नहीं है. The idea is to lure this gentleman into the crazy world of YouTube and get them to start talking about Italian football. See, look, if you guys start it, it will be brilliant, because we don't get to hear a lot about, because if you look at the Indian YouTube, if you look at that group, there's Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool is, there's mostly just us and Nitika. But you have Chelsea, you have all these clubs, right? But Italian football we don't get to hear a lot about, and it's fascinating. This conversation has been absolutely brilliant. We'll wrap it up in 10 minutes or so because you guys there's Sunday family time also. But yeah, Sadiq bhai bol rahe hain ki to be honest, the Euro win was built on Locatelli and Barella, who missed that North Macedonia game, which was a 1 in 100 incident. Berardi and Raspadori missed a gaping goal with a goalie 20 yards away. Yes.
Oh, Berardi ka miss, so I think haunts
think-
us. I think. Oh, what a miss that was. And Chiesa,
but
let's
guys-
not forget, Chiesa not being
but-
there was big because I think
Chiesa missing and most importantly Mancini just persisting with Immobile in that number 9 role. I mean, it was glaring. I mean, we're sitting here in India and we can pick that up, and a coach that has just won the Euro. It's that same stubborn Italian mentality. You know, the minute you become successful, you become so obsessed with results that you're not able to understand the bigger picture anymore. You know, it becomes tunnel vision. It's the same thing that's happened to Allegri. He's become so obsessed with his success that he thinks he knows that it's so formulaic that he can replicate it by being
but
stubborn.
DJ, actually
That's
the
not how
point
football
kya hai,
works.
people don't realize is Ciro Immobile has been banging in goals in the league for fun, but when he plays for
I know.
Italy, it
Yeah.
is just shocking to see how
Shocking.
you cannot replicate
Shocking.
that form. He's been banging in goals for fun when it comes to Lazio, and
Right.
and he'll score from wherever. Amazing player for Lazio, but when he plays for Italy, I think it's like a chicken in headlights. You
shocker.
know, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolute shock.
it's shocking how, even to be honest, a number 9 for Euros, he was hardly there. I think we just won because of the great midfield. And you know, just to mention it, I always love it when I was hearing the halftime show for the Euro finals, and Rio Ferdinand was like, I had absolutely no idea that this midfield can dominate this English midfield. And to be honest, had you seen the game, barring the first 20 minutes, the Italian midfield just dominated. But again, what Deej said, you get stuck in your own success, right? That bubble. When you get stuck in that own success, that's where your downfall comes.
DJ, we've spoken about everything. We'll wrap it up in just like 10 minutes or so. So, I want to talk about two teams which we don't get to hear, and everyone is excited about it. One is, of course, Napoli, because it looks like they're going to win the title this time. Scudetto, I think Napoli will win it. So let's hear your views on Napoli a bit. Because, you know, everyone in the chat, I love Napoli. I wish Napoli wins the Champions League, and those kind of things come. How did Napoli get here? Because they lost a lot of their players. And Chintan, I'll come to you about Roma, because Roma is a club that I have a soft spot for. So thoda wo bhi discuss karte hain. But coming to Napoli, Deej, how did Napoli get here? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, you know, Nidhi, this the whole Naples transformation actually began in the Sarri years, where you know, like we were discussing earlier in the show, they have become a very system-based club, which means that their reliance on individuals or star names does not exist. You know, they had a great purple patch with Higuain as striker, and then they kept rotating their nines on a high level. Now this Osimhen purchase, I think, is mind-blowing. Quaradona is fantastic. What a player! What a find. Juve was actually after him, and Paratici.
Yeah.
They couldn't agree on the numbers. So I think but you know, that apart, you have to really hats off to Spalletti. You know, he's always been that diamond in the rough. He's gone and gotten seasoned, you know, in other leagues. He's come back. What I love about Spalletti, apart from his humility, is he's a consistent guy. You know, the only thing, and Juve were actually hard after him, you know, to come in. The one apprehension that Juve had was what happens to Spalletti in the defensive phase of the game or when there's a crisis. So Naples, as brilliant as they have been, have not hit that patch yet. You know, when things begin to stutter a little bit, that is what's going to be interesting. Also, you know, even though they were 10 points ahead of Juve or 11 or whatever that tally was before this point deduction, with Juventus and Milan breathing down their necks, that 10 points was, to me, frankly, with due respect, was not enough. If they began to stutter, it would be interesting. Even with the result at the Maradona 5-1 mauling of Juve, I feel if they had like a moment where there's two results that didn't go their way, let's say the lead is cut to 6 points. What is unique is Spalletti has never won the Serie A. He's still engaged in the Champions League. How does he pace the team? Now with this 15-point deduction, if it remains, Juve is far off their back. Milan has got Inter, on their backs. So they're engaged in a mini battle, which is why Napoli have a little bit of breathing room, But what's going to be interesting is, I agree with Chintan. I think they definitely deserve to go far in the Champions League. But they are very susceptible in the defensive phase when pressed, And not many teams in Italy are able to press them because of the kind of possession-based football they are playing right now. But I think the season is still long. So if Milan, for example, are able to, let's say, bring that gap to about 7 points with, just under half the season to play, I think it's going to be very interesting. If Spalletti gets it over the line, I don't think there is any other coach in Italy that is more likable than him, including Gasperini. So I would love it for Spalletti to win. And I hope they do. But I think it's still very early days, controversial as it seems.
Yeah, amazing. DJ, do you think they can win the Champions League? Do you think it is possible?
Yeah, the Champions League is a tournament which requires a lot of luck. They are playing a very European style of football. If the injuries are, anybody that remains right now in the Champions League can win it per se, But I think with Naples engaged in being top of the league, in Italy, you will always prioritize winning the Scudetto over any other tournament because that national pride in Italy is just, it's kind of like how Liverpool are obsessed with the English Premier League title, given all their success in Europe. That is an obsession for them. It's the same for Naples, I feel like that to me is like their Everest and their Himalaya. And I feel like they will prioritize that. If you ask me if they can win it, they're certainly playing very European football, as good as anybody. But I think there are teams that are stronger than them. If they came up against a City, if they came up against a Madrid, I think it would be very hard for them to kind of get past that. They are more firmly favorites for the Scudetto than they are for the Champions League.
Chintan, Napoli winning this Scudetto, or there's still more twists and turns? Milan can challenge them. Let's be honest. Milan can.
Yes. I don't call me hopeful or optimistic, but I don't count us out yet. We still have to play them once. That cuts down the gap to 6 points if we beat them. And what happened last season, where Juventus sneaked in on the last day, where they had to Napoli to just draw the game, and they lost the game, and Juventus won, and they sneaked in. So pressure makes you do weird things. So I think it's not over yet. Surely they don't look like the Napoli of old who will choke, because they are playing beautiful football, to be honest. They're not getting pressurized, or they're not coming under that pressure that, okay, we have to win this game. This is very important. Only time I saw them come under a little bit of pressure or strain was against Juventus. But that has other reasons too, because the Juventus-Napoli rivalry has
psychological
exaggerated. Yeah. It's become big over the last 10 years, because the only stumbling block for Juventus, also for Napoli, has been Juventus for a while. So I guess that was psychological. But other than them, I think what Deed said right now, I don't think they'll prioritize Champions League. Imagine if they're in a semi-final and they're playing Milan in the Serie A, and I think they'll rest players for Champions League to win the league game. I think they're capable of doing that, because for them, it's been 30 years not winning a league title, and they've never been favorites. They are still not favorites. We are still discussing a 9-point gap. Had it been a Milan, Milan or a Juventus, people would have said, kind of a close
then
battle.
It's over. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but not being able to win. So I guess a stumbling block for them. But I feel when it comes to Champions League, because they have nothing to lose, I think they can upset a Real Madrid or a Man City. And I feel when it comes to a team like City, they will be under pressure to win their Champions League games. So I think they can upset every single team. But I would not say that the title is done yet.
Right, right. Yeah, it has been absolutely amazing. I will just take the last word from you. And since you guys are on Menace in the Monk, which is a Liverpool channel, right? We are not. We are in absolute tatters right now. But what's your opinion on Liverpool as an outsider? DJ, I'll come to you first. Bro.
In Europe or in general,
No,
or
no. Overall. Have you
Nidhi,
seen the games? Have you
Nidhi,
made up?
Nidhi, it's to be honest, yeah, these things are cyclical. I think the way Liverpool have played so consistently over the years, I mean, they are
Mhm.
allowed to have one season which has predominantly more than anything has been more about injuries than the way they are playing per se, And I think
Yeah,
Klopp is allowed that. I mean, it can happen to anyone, The way, if it happened to City, the way Pep would plug that is he'd go and buy the next 100 million player out there. But, Klopp won't do that. And I think somewhere he's been a little stubborn given the injuries. Liverpool, we had actually discussed at the start of the season, depth
yeah,
is something they have to be mindful of this season. That is clearly what has come to the fore. And I think, but it's a blip. It's not a sign of things to come if that's what people think. I saw some very funny memes about Nunes, but I
yeah,
definitely I definitely think that the collective is always what it's about at Pool. For as long as Klopp is there, and this is just a blip. It's temp, and I don't think they're going to end up where they are right now on the table. That is going to change before the end of the season. The season is long, guys. You're going to recover some
yeah,
key players, and I think it's going to make a difference. And that said, the league does not guarantee their Euro form. They are a monster in Europe no matter what. And I think that is going to be a very unpredictable run. For all we know, that it'll probably be maybe a top four, top five, maybe top six in England, but you can't count out the
top,
semis in Europe.
yeah. Top four is, I think it's very difficult for us.
Very
Like
hard
it
at
will
the
have to
moment.
be,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
It will
but
have to
Nidhi,
be
the
a,
season is long. A lot of us are where don't forget we're just on the back of a World Cup. You know, so it's not like
Exactly.
the season is that we are not really. You can't count December. You can't even count the end of November. So there is some time, and if anybody in England knows how to make like a concerted run, I think those two teams are City and Pool. You know, so I wouldn't put it
yeah.
past them to gallop high up.
Yeah, we both are stuttering. Let's be honest, guys. We'll take Chintan का word on Liverpool and a little bit of Roma. So Roma के लिए देखो यार हमने एक अलग चीज plan की है. We have spoken to a Roma fan. We'll get him on and we will talk about AS Roma in detail because मैंने भी पहले बोला है I have a certain soft spot for AS Roma because of Totti. तो हम उसके बारे में डिटेल में बात करेंगे. But Chintan, bro, what do you think about Liverpool's current? बहुत लोग उसको end of an era भी बोल रहे हैं कि Liverpool are back to
No, man.
Not at all.
right
Not at all.
How
between
these are all, I'm telling you, like it's funny when you come across uh, fans who are so in the moment. Yeah, it's depressing also because you get
yeah
tired addressing them. And I'm to be very honest, I've shut that door on Twitter. And if you actually think that Liverpool are at the end of their cycle, then
yeah
you're laughing at your own peril. As Deej said, every team has a cycle. Unfortunately, EPL being so competitive that you guys are pretty much down the pecking order. That is because,
Mhm.
of course, this season Arsenal are doing exceptionally well, uh, beyond their own beliefs, I guess. You look at Newcastle. So I think you have like grave injuries. I think you have three players: Firmino, Diaz, and Jota injured. And come on,
Van
you
Dijk.
Van Dijk, yeah, you remove the three attackers out, and I saw the game last night. Let's not. It was a little cagey, but if
It
you remove,
was a shit show, yeah. Chintan, no, we can't mince words. We were
yeah,
terrible.
it was. But again, I saw what you see is, of course, the press was missing. But then again, if you remove your three, when your bench strength is great, but it's not that great when you remove your three starters out. Any team is going to struggle. Yeah, you remove a Martinelli, an Odegaard, or a Bukayo Saka out of Arsenal. You see what they do then. So it is hard. I as Deej said, I think it's just a blip. Plus, I guess the energy with which Liverpool play, you do end up burning out too at times. And being a World Cup year,
Mhm.
it shows. I feel refresh. If you, of course, I hope Liverpool stick with Klopp, and I think Klopp wants to stay, and I think the board
I
trusts
agree.
Klopp too. But if you stick with him, he's what he's been doing. It's phenomenal, to be very honest. How he's turned the club around, the way you play, it is the energy with which Liverpool play. It's hard to keep up, be it any club, and it's just you hope for them to slow down. So it's just a blip. I feel it's just a blip. We recover players. I There might be chances you might miss Europe too. I think top four looks
I think we
very.
will. I think we will.
But then again, what Deet said, win the UCL and back in UCL again. Yeah? So, to be very honest, two teams I would avoid playing in the UCL is a Real Madrid and a Liverpool, because I still feel Milan might just end up beating PSG or a Man City, because culturally, historically, teams sometimes there's something in the blood. But I think can't remove Real Madrid and City out, or Real Madrid and Liverpool out of any equation, man.
This season does not look likely, but लिवरपूल के बारे में तो यार देखो हम लोग बहुत बात करते हैं. A lot of people over a lot of years have thought this. The walls of Anfield will always be strong; they will never crumble. There might be strife, there might be a period of mirth, but it will not crumble. That is 100% sure.
No team stays at the top for the longest, right? You do have a cycle, but the point is to not get out of that vicious cycle, like to not step out of the cycle, to stay alive. It's the most important.
Yeah. Guys, last word on AS Roma, and then we will close it. First of all, it has been absolutely fantastic. I know, you guys have given the time of your day on a Sunday, which is family day.
Love talking about
first
calcio.
of all, absolutely, we need to do this more often. But just before leaving, what's the word on Roma? Because it has one of the biggest characters in football, which is Jose Mourinho. Chintan, I'll come to you first, and then we'll close with DJ.
Roma. What to say? It's a great club. The fans.
Yeah.
I think the Romans are probably world renowned on how they are, and of course known for their passion. And of course, there is something about their club, right, where players don't leave. Especially they've been, flag bearers, passing it on from Francesco Totti to De Rossi, and now for them the local hero is Pellegrini. Who's been amazing. And see, it's when you play a Mourinho team. Let's get to that first. When you play a Jose Mourinho team, you know that things change in a second. And I feel, and we faced that at the start of the year, like start of Jan, where we were comfortable. 83 minutes, 2-0 up. 90 minutes, 2-2, 2 set pieces, 2 goals. Typical Jose Mourinho. And I think they've scored the most goals from set pieces. So what is amazing is what Roma needed was belief that they can win a trophy, which he delivered as promised. Conference League.
After a long time, a European trophy in Italy. Yeah.
And the beautiful part was he was in tears. A man who has won everything across the globe was in tears, is because he was carrying the weight of the entire city, and it was brilliant to see that. Even great for the league. But the things that belief that club needed was they can win a trophy. They can generate a result. And look, the players are attracting. I don't know if you guys saw Dybala's like the reveal. If you would have seen that, I think did you saw it? It was the most beautiful. If you haven't seen it, Nidhi, please YouTube it. It is the most beautiful thing. Entire city welcome. I think goosebump stuff. You don't see that anywhere. And just to put things in perspective, not to sing a lot about Milan, if you read what Fikayo Tomori said about Italy in general in his recent interview, he said that the passion what the fans have, it's something different. They keep thanking you when they won the Scudetto. He said people are following me, thanking me, giving me gifts because they've won something for Milan after 11 years. So I think the passion what Italy brings is amazing. What Mourinho has done is he's made a formidable unit now. They were always Garcia was there, and they were always a team which will give you a 4-0 beautiful victory and get thrashed 5-0 after that. What he's got stability. I still feel they're a long way to go challenging top four and the title, especially the title. It's a long way to go, but he's built a strong team. I think Tammy Abraham has been coming of age, and Dybala is playing well. And look at his back three; he's moved to back three. Cristante has been coming out so well, so I feel it's great for the team. I think it'll take 3-4 more signings for them to even title challenge them for the title. But I think with Jose Mourinho, you can't count them out, and I think he's there for a long haul. There's no pressure. There's no added pressure. He's already the darling of the city. So no one expects Roma to win the title next season. But everyone wants Roma to compete because now, as you said, a lot of fans, a lot of people across the globe have their eyes on AS Roma.
Yeah. TJ, your last words and then we'll end it.
I think, guys, yeah, a lot of it I agree with Chintan. Like, I think obviously Mourinho, for me, you've got to go back to the ethos of in terms of why he made this decision. I think Roma being Rome, that eternal city vibe, and I think somewhere in Mourinho's head, he wanted to just go and enjoy football first and foremost. He wanted to be away from the news and in the spotlight and the special one. And I think genuinely, it's a project that seems like it's very close to his heart because he's immediately approved by the fans. There is no criticism and skepticism week in and week out. He's kind of built a very interesting team in the way they play. I think even like a player like Smalling, for example, like what I saw of him in the few times that I've seen him. Cristante obviously now is an Italy player. Mourinho's blooded him beautifully. I think the Dybala purchase, of course, it just worked out. It didn't seem like a long-term target, and I think it just worked out the way it did. That reveal was, to me, one of the most memorable of a player, if ever. I think the one with the line for Napoli, was it Indler?
Gökhan Indler.
When you look at that reveal and you look at what happened to Dybala, I think you can understand why Dybala's was so memorable. And of course, right now, what are they? They're 34 points. They are 4 points off second place. Milan, if I'm not mistaken, at the moment, as things are today, is that they're on 38. So, I wouldn't put it past them to fight for the top four. But like Chin said, if Mourinho is here for the long haul, I think Roma are very strong title possible contenders prospects in maybe the next couple of years if they get that continuity on the Mercato. People are patient with Mourinho, which I think they will be. And Dybala, now that he's a World Cup champion, hopefully gets that continuity that he has so long deserved at Juve. Hopefully he gets it at Roma. They have a little bit of a very interesting project that is shaping up, and interestingly shaping up out of the spotlight. Which is why you can fully expect them to creep up on maybe the top three in the next couple of seasons and then make a go for the Scudetto. Likeable club. You hope them, at least success in the Europa if they don't make it to the Champions League this season. They're definitely top 5 according to me if the season ends the way it does. They're at the moment 6th. I think they will probably be a top 5 team by the end of the season. So and good luck. And I'm a huge fan of Pellegrini. That guy is like a mainstay, in the Italian team. Of course, we can't forget a very famous and popular left back from the Italian team, ex-Juve.
Zola.
Yeah, you remember the swap we made with Spina and Pellegrini?
Pellegrini, yes.
It is one of my biggest regrets, in the Mercato, because Spina, what a player, good things, for Roma. At the moment, though, we have to be realistic. Top 5 is a realistic target. Top 4 if they get lucky. And if Mourinho is here for the next 5 years, maybe in year 3 they could, aim for the title.
Absolutely. Guys, first of all, once again, big thank you. बहुत मजा आया. This was one of the best streams that we've done in a long time, and so refreshing to talk about something that we don't usually talk about. We need to get here more often, and for the audience here, देखो हम लोग एक रोमा और मिलान फैन को भी हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं, हम लोग लेके आएंगे. इटालियन फुटबॉल के बारे में हम लोग और भी बातें करेंगे. Until then, thank you for joining in, and thank you for बिल्कुल सादिक भाई, आपको भी जल्दी लाना जरूरी है. Until then, it is a Sunday, so take care of yourself. आज एक बहुत बड़ा मैच है प्रीमियर लीग में, मैन यूनाइटेड वर्सेस आर्सेनल, which is going to be absolutely brilliant. So take care of yourselves, enjoy, and we will see you soon. Till take care and bye.